Meanwhile, dear friends, we have another report which is related to Ukrainian crisis, of course. Unfortunate report that US approves first NATO-funded military aid package for a Kyiv regime. Report is to go through details here that Donald Trump administration and the Pentagon have approved the first package of military aid to Kyiv financed by US NATO allies. Originally, this was reported by Reuters news agency, citing sources. The Deputy Secretary of the Defense, Elbridge Colby, approved 2 batches of $500 million under new mechanism called the Priority Needs List. The publication says, well, unfortunate that US is still leading the charge in this proxy war that West is waging against Russia. Despite all the hopes of America First people that US will pull out of this proxy war, despite all the hopes, here in Russia too, by the way, and worldwide, that maybe under Trump's administration some decisive actions will be taken and Washington will distance itself from this proxy war that only harms US and US national interests, by the way, on geopolitical scale, on any scale really, and does not benefit at all. If you think, well, you see $500 million will be transferred to US as a result of this military aid package, US is losing much more than 550 millions, man. US is losing much more. US is losing its future, if you ask me. And many people, especially among America First force in the US, probably will agree with me that US is losing much more than some $500 million. Anyways, while this is happening and Washington clearly escalates with Russia, continues to escalate with Russia, Trump, for whatever reason, went to say that Zelensky will have to make a deal. So US President Donald Trump on Tuesday renewed calls for a settlement to Ukrainian conflict, insisting that Vladimir Zelensky will eventually have to strike a deal with Moscow. And I have a short clip, dear friends, when Trump was talking about it. Let me show you this video and you tell me what you make of it.
Well, he's going to have to get going and make a deal. He's going to have to make a deal. Zelensky's going to have to make a deal. And Europe has to stop buying oil from Russia. Okay? You know, they talk, but they have to stop buying oil from Russia.
Mr. President, there are with him in New York.
Well, Trump says this, that Zelensky has to make a deal, and also that Europe has to stop buying energy from Russia, oil from Russia. He said this before launching towards UK, before flying towards UK, where he will have a state visit. This is allegedly second time, and US president has been invited second time in this state level visitor. He's going to be treated by British aristocracy. And by the way, when we say British aristocracy, of course, we know that this is a headquarter. Let's say London is a headquarter, I will argue, of globalist movements, right? Because British aristocracy is a leading force among globalists, and definitely not the friends of America First people or the US. We all know this. And I'm afraid, well, globalists will have an easy ride on Trump's ears, right? In next several days. I don't know how long this Trump's visit is gonna last in UK. Neither I care, by the way. But what is unfortunate, globally is gonna have an easy ride on Trump's ears, and we should expect some tremendously controversial and hostile statements from Trump during these days that he is in UK and after. And after that, we will find out. But definitely, global is not gonna miss out on this opportunity to influence Trump's inner circle that will be with him in UK, and to finalize US's involvement into this proxy war until their end, whatever that end is going to be, right? And I'm afraid they might succeed. They might succeed. Trump already demonstrated that, he is not consistent. Today he might say one thing, tomorrow something else, day after still something very different. So, well, we will find out. We will find out. But yes, he is calling for Zelensky to make a deal. I wouldn't be surprised if today, later on, or tomorrow, he will say, well, forget about Zelensky. It's Putin that have to make a deal. It's Putin that have to come to our terms and agree on our terms or something like that. We should expect big time escalation, by the way, which is unfortunate, but I was talking about it for how long now? For very long, isn't it? That next phase of escalation is absolutely inevitable, unfortunately. And we have just too many indicators on that matter to be ignored. Anyways, let me continue. And if you think anybody is impressed among globalists or even globalist puppet regime in Kiev or globalist proxy regime in Kiev with these demands of Trump that Zelensky has to make a deal, then no one is impressed. Opposite is happening. Opposite is happening actually, and Zelensky is setting new conditions for a Trump. It's Zelensky that's setting conditions for a Trump, by the way. That's how crazy the situation in the West is, and the relationships between different parties there, right? So let me give you some details here. So Vladimir Zelensky set the conditions for US President Donald Trump to resolve the conflict in Ukraine. He said this in an interview with the Sky News. We have quotes here: before we end the war, I really want their agreements to be concluded. I want to have a document that is supported by the US and all European partners. This is very important. For this to happen, we need a clear position from the President Trump, he said. The head of the Kiev regime added that the only way to stop the fighting is to first put in place certain security guarantees. And by the way, Zelensky during that interview went to criticize Trump, insult Trump actually in a big way. He was basically calling Trump indirectly a coward and stuff like that because he's emboldened. He has a backing of the globalists, and he sees perfectly well that globalists do have a serious influence on Trump, in Trump's inner circle, and globalists have serious allies in the US. Democrats, Democrat establishment, and all the institutions, state institutions that have been infiltrated by the Democrats, right? And also neocons, by the way. So why would Zelensky be afraid of Trump or his administration? That actually is a joke at this point, right? So he's coming up with conditions for Trump, which is quite interesting. And as I said, dear friends, I would not be surprised at all if today or tomorrow Trump will begin making some crazy statements with the threats towards Russia again, as he have done already on numerous occasions. And meanwhile, seems like not maybe Trump is ignoring, maybe Trump is not briefed about what is going on in this world really, and what Zelensky is doing, for example, and how he's insulting Trump personally. I'm quite sure Trump has no freaking idea about it, but some American think tanks probably do pay close attention, right? Some American so-called media outlets, and foreign policy is one of them, seems like, and they come up with the article that Zelensky is losing touch with reality, which is quite interesting. This is very rare occasions when foreign policy, allegedly one of the most influential media group or think tank in the US is this critical of Zelensky, right? So let me go through details here. Ukraine's Vladimir Zelensky and his closest advisors are losing touch with reality, as shown by a series of policy and legislative mistakes that have sparked public uproar. Foreign policy reported on Tuesday, citing local analysts and experts. Ukrainian government recently attempted to push through two major measures designed to buttress their armed forces, but each spawned a backlash and raised the questions about whether their country's leadership is in tune with the concerns of ordinary Ukrainians, the outlet noted. The first of their measures was the draft law imposing sanctions for military insubordination, described by the foreign policy as a draconian. The legislation proposed that desertion or absence without leave carry up a prison term up to 12 years, with no amnesty even for a voluntary return. The bill triggered protests with their activists carrying placards reading "Army service is not slavery," prompting their authorities to withdraw the legislation. The second move relaxed martial law travel restrictions, but by allowing men aged between 12 and 22 to leave Ukraine. Martial law had previously barred all men aged between 18 and 60 to travel outside the country. Instead of relief, the reform stirred the concern that young men might live in large numbers, undermining future recruitment and worsening Ukraine's long-standing demographic problems. However, one of the most significant blunders of the Zelensky team was attempt to crack down on anti-corruption bodies. This summer, Kiev attempted to strip the National Anti-Corruption Bureau of Ukraine, NABU, and the Special Anti-Corruption Prosecutor's Office, SAPO, of independence, citing Russian influence, but the move resulted in a mass protests, prompting the Ukrainian leadership to backpedal on the reform. Defense analyst Dmitry K told Foreign Policy that Zelensky's inner circle exists in a vacuum. They live in a bubble. Some advisors are very good, but they are obviously not getting a consistent flow of relevant information. An August poll by the Kiev International Institute of Sociology suggested that public trust in Zelensky has slumped by 7% in month, standing at 58. This is all fake news, by the way, fake numbers. About 58%, by the way. Zelensky barely has 10 to 15%. Zelensky barely has 10 to 15%, by the way. One have to be total psycho on Kiev-controlled territory to still be supporter of Zelensky, man. Their propaganda is not that good. So this is all, BS on part of foreign policy, right? While they are referring to these fake numbers here about Zelensky's rating. If he had a 58% or 60% or something like that, do you think he would refuse to conduct presidential elections? His rating is 10 to 15%. He knows he has no freaking chances to win, to gain majority support. And that's why he is prolonging this martial law and maintaining power due to this martial law, right? But anyways, what I want to highlight is that foreign policy, which is yet again allegedly is one of the most influential think tanks in US, or so-called media outlets. It's a rare occasion when foreign policy is going after Zelensky this hard, like, isn't it? That Zelensky and his inner circle are losing touch with reality. Let's see what will come out of this. Earlier, I reported that number of media outlets in the West began targeting, that can be affiliated with Washington, began targeting Zaluzhny. German media even indicated that Zaluzhny was directly involved in terrorist attacks on the Nord Stream pipelines. And to me personally, that was an indicator. Those attacks were an indicator that Washington and London still have disagreements in regards to who's going to replace Zelensky. London is, of course, for Zaluzhny, but currently serving as Ukraine's ambassador in UK. But US, for many years now, there was always different report that US was preferring some other figures, right? Maybe this disagreement continues. Most likely this is the case. And this hit piece actually from foreign policy might be the part of this campaign of Washington to actually pressure London to say no to Zaluzhny's candidacy and agree on on US's candidacy. Maybe this is the way. And when it comes to topic of who can be chosen by US, different rumors are circulating. One is former general prosecutor of Ukraine. I forgot his freaking name. Other is current mayor of Kiev. Also, rumors are that Arestovich, former advisor of Zelensky, might actually have some sympathies in Washington and can be, move around by Washington as a potential replacement of Zelensky. So there is quite a number of individuals that Washington can actually choose, right? But seems like they are against not just Zelensky, but also against Zaluzhny. Let's see. Trump is in UK now. Trump arrived in London, isn't it? And will stay there for some time. And let's see which side will persuade which. I'm afraid globalists gonna be more successful in that, but who knows? Who knows? We will find out in upcoming days. Hello everyone. I hope you find informative and useful this short clip from main news update, and if so, please click that like button and leave some commentary just about anything. It might help to deal with the algorithm and reach wider audience. And if you like my work in general and want to support to save this media project, you can assist through several ways. You can donate to this project through PayPal platform or Boosty, also with the crypto currencies, or you can subscribe to my Patreon page and page on Boosty, where I have quite a lot of extra content on regular basis. All the links are on this video in description box and in the pinned comment. And of course, many thanks to everyone who already helped and continues to support. Thank you.